Fam, what is going on? Good morning to you. It's Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? Today is Trucker Hat Wednesday. I hope that you are all having an amazing Wednesday. If you've had a little bit of time off because Thanksgiving is tomorrow, I hope that you've went to the grocery store, and I hope you've knocked out all of your grocery runs because the grocery store this morning was absolutely packed. What I wanted to ask you today, too, inside the comment box as we get going, and I'll bring this up a couple times, be thinking about this. What is your starting 5 foods on your plate for Thanksgiving? All right, like your starting 5, all right? Last night, the Alabama Crimson Tide basketball team won a big basketball game, okay? I mean, you're talking about an Elite 8 type game. Who stayed up to watch the game? Alabama won in overtime, beating Houston by a score of 85-80 in overtime. All right. This is a big time matchup. And when we kind of zoom in on the stats here in just a second, Alabama basketball led by Grant Nelson. He was 4 of 8 from the field, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. He had 10 total rebounds and finished out with 13 points. So a double-double by Grant Nelson. But you know which young man really rose up last night? Mo Diabate. And if we're talking about starting 5, the Mo Diabate, is like this guy off the bench. Man, I'm telling you, this guy can bang. He can get rebounds. And look at the depth right here. Whether it's Darren Reed, who had 18 minutes, Mo Diabate, who had 28, Aiden Holloway, even off the bench, finishing with 26 minutes. Mo Diabate, okay, this guy is a rebounding monster. He had 16 total rebounds, 11 defensive rebounds, which is absolutely critical, and 10 points, all right? So he pours in a double-double in what I really feel is a game that kind of had an Elite 8, maybe even a Final 4 type feel. Think about it. 2 teams on a neutral court, MGM Grand, right? A lot on the line between these 2 teams. And this is the great thing about Alabama basketball. And welcome back, Mark Sears, who, by the way, dropped in 24 points, okay? 24 points. He was 4 of 13 from the field, but he hit 4 3-pointers out of 8. Wrightsell hit 3 long shots as well. Jamie, what's up? I appreciate you being here. Everybody inside the comment box. Today is Trucker Hat Wednesday. I usually don't rock this hat because I like the way this hat looks. I don't really have a problem with the look. I kind of have a problem with like the fit. It's kind of like uncomfortable to wear it for like an hour or two. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I like the hat. I like, it's a high top. It's a trucker hat. But the reason that this Alabama basketball team is going to go wherever they want to go is, I think, because of the fact that, what you're looking at right here on the screen is the amount of depth that they have. Now, sure, the starters, Grant Nelson last night, Omari, LeBaron Philon, Sears, Wrightsell. Like, I feel sometimes with basketball in the past, you've had like a team of, 5, 6, 7 guys that you can rock with. This team, look, you could have any different type of combination. Youngblood's not even healthy yet, and look what you can do with the bench. A lot of minutes between those guys. Darren Reed had 18 minutes. Mo Diabate, 28. Jaren Stevenson, 10. Holloway, 26. Nate Oates is a hell of a coach. Let me ask you this real quick. We're going to chop it up about Alabama basketball. We'll move into our next topic in a few minutes. I appreciate you guys being here. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Hey, LaSauce. You know what? Like, I think people who have that view, like this is a basketball school, I think number one, there's nothing wrong with the basketball team being recognized for their incredible efforts. But I think as you saw last night, and I know it's a hot topic, and we're going to talk about it, is Alabama still has a door cracked to get into the playoffs, okay? But, I think Coach Nate Oates has earned this type of coverage, whether it's on a small YouTube channel like mine or it's on a national level like, I don't know, the larger channels or, ESPN or whatever that cover college basketball. But Nate Oates has built an incredible roster, probably, I think, the deepest roster in the country, to be honest. Tonight, Alabama takes on Rutgers as they continue to battle in Las Vegas. So that game is at 9 p.m. on TBS. 9 p.m. tonight on TBS. I appreciate you guys hopping in the show today. I always like to celebrate veterans. It's not just Veterans Day on like one particular day. I like to show this graphic because these are the men and women that watch this program that are veterans. All right, so it's Veterans Day every single day here on Bama Football on YouTube. So just want to take a minute to really highlight these people on this board, and I'm sure there's many others. And if you're not on the board, please drop your name inside the comment box. Not on the live, but inside the comment box, and we'll get you added to this. But I think as we turn the page to Thanksgiving and we start to think about our top 5 foods on our plate, we have that opportunity to, be thankful for the things that are in front of us and with family, right? And the freedoms that we have, think about it. All of our basics are met. All of our basics are met. And there's people overseas right now that are defending our great country and our freedoms that will not be with their family. So, this is our ongoing and always veterans board. SS, what's up, man? SZ, rather. Who do I have in the natty? We'll talk about that in a second. I would imagine that Ohio State finally gets, can put together a couple games. Look, a lot of this is going to depend on where these teams fall inside the tournament bracket. I think, Ohio State, I would imagine that they beat Oregon. They get a lot of momentum from that. The only thing is that Ohio State doesn't win big games, like under Ryan Day. I mean, Georgia, I would imagine they're probably one of the favorites right now. But the play of their quarterback is kind of like the play of the Alabama quarterback, right? Up and down. And you know what? Here's the game day forecast, by the way. 50 for the tailgate, 51 for kickoff, and 45 for the fourth quarter. Those are beautiful temps for a football game in late November for the Iron Bowl. Kickoff is at 2:30 on ABC. And I think about, this world right now of college football, it's pretty much like the NFL, right? And in the NFL, what you're seeing, and if you follow the NFL closely, I personally do. I watch all the games on Sunday, Monday, even Thursday night on stupid Prime. I don't think games should be on Prime. I'm not against Amazon Prime, but I'm against games being on Amazon. It's weird. I don't want to see games like on Netflix. I want to see games like on the regular TV, like channels. But if you follow the NFL and if you have an NFL team, your team is going to lose. I promise you. No NFL team is going to just absolutely run the table. It just doesn't happen. There might be some teams that can string together an amazing winning streak. They might win 15, 16 games or whatever it is. But all of the teams are good in the NFL. All of them. Even the Giants. Even the Cowboys. The Cowboys just beat the Redskins, which is crazy to think about. But my point is, with all the parity now in college football, yes, because of NIL and the transfer portal, teams are going to go up and down. You are going to lose games. Your quarterback is going to play well. He's going to play bad. And that's kind of what's happening right now. And it's tough to grasp if you've just been running the table. This playoff bracket right here, I have a lot of issues with it, okay? And Alabama right now is not in the playoff bracket. And by the way, I am taking calls today. So if you're wondering if I'm taking calls, I am taking calls. This is the latest Alabama football bracket. This is the latest college football bracket. It was released last night by ESPN. I have issues with this bracket, and I'll start out with the fact that a team from the Big 12 who is ranked 16 in the rankings gets into the playoffs just because they are part of a conference and they are the selected conference champion. A bigger issue is that a team from the Mountain West in this fake bracket right here could end up with a bye into the quarterfinals. You're telling me, and this is what the committee is telling us, that playing in the Mountain West and playing against lower competition of teams, let's face it, that you can get into the quarterfinals. What they should really do is they should man up and they should just put the teams on the left as the teams in the bracket. So the rankings should go right into the bracket. 1 through 12 should go right in here. Again, that would leave Alabama out, but who cares? Like, the point is rank the best 12 and put the best 12 teams into the tournament bracket. Adding the conferences that they have to be in there, I have major issues with that. Because the conferences are not created equal. Notre Dame doesn't even play in a conference. The best way to get into the college football tournament is like this. Don't play in a conference and don't play top 25 teams. Period. That's exactly how to get into the playoffs. That's how to get into the playoffs. That's the formula. I'm going to bring this up real quick on this other side. It's interesting. So I get the transcripts from when the College Football Playoff Committee is asked questions following the game, following the committee, right? So check this out. This is going to be interesting. See if we can find it on the fly. So this is the transcript. So following the seeding of the tournament, the selection committee answers questions from media. I'm on these emails, okay? So I'll read you a couple as it pertains to Alabama. Okay. So over here on, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit more. Okay. So last night, the seating committee was asked this. Curious how you would compare the resumes of Alabama and Ole Miss at 13 and 14. Ward Manuel, who's the committee chair, says this. Yeah, they're really, I would say, in the committee's eyes, they're really similar teams, and they've had similar ways that they've gone through the season. Both have had losses that you didn't expect them to have. Alabama had a loss to Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's performance was dominant against Alabama. And then when you have a loss by Mississippi to Florida, at Florida, it was one of those losses where you just don't expect them to have. It was a close game, but where we evaluated it, we came out with Alabama ahead of Mississippi and South Carolina, since Alabama and Mississippi both won head-to-head against South Carolina. They continue. Here's another question regarding Alabama. I guess what makes Alabama, this is the question. Why did the committee have Alabama as a top 3 loss team and on the edge here? Manuel continues. Because their win over Georgia. Can you imagine if they don't win against Georgia? They won against Missouri, they beat South Carolina, and they won at LSU in dominant fashion. When you put those 4 wins against Missouri, when you put those 4 wins against Mississippi, and what they did, they had wins against Georgia and a win at South Carolina, but they had a tough loss to Florida and lost to LSU in overtime. So there you go, right? So when we compared resumes, that's how we saw in terms of the difference between Alabama and Mississippi. So it's interesting to see how the committee, looks at these things. But I think right here, this is probably the biggest takeaway, and this is why the door is still open for Alabama. Let's see if I can highlight this right here. So I know, I get it. Facts are the facts. Alabama lost to 2 unranked road teams, and their most recent loss is how this team is playing right now at this point in time. They are like it when you and I think what the committee looks at is they rank the teams new every week. That's one thing that they continue to say. So like starting this week, all of the teams are new, right? And then they look at what they've done. So if they're looking at Alabama right now, Alabama just lost to Oklahoma. But because of their win over Georgia, they won against Missouri, they beat South Carolina, and they won at LSU in dominant fashion. That's part of your resume. And none of these other teams beat Georgia. None of these other teams beat LSU on the road, right? And I'm talking about the teams like BYU, Texas A&M, Colorado, right? So where we stand in terms of looking at this playoff bracket and what could be and all this rat poison that you want to look ahead of Auburn, who I don't even know if Alabama will be able to beat Auburn. And we're going to talk about that some more. I really don't. And I never pick against Alabama. You know that. In this game, I don't know. I might just flip a coin. Because what's going to change? I'll save my thoughts on Alabama-Auburn. But honestly, what is going to change with Alabama right now by Saturday? Nothing. So here's what we're watching, okay? Notre Dame plays USC this weekend. I think Notre Dame wins that game, but USC and Notre Dame is kind of like a low-key rivalry game. Notre Dame's like a rival against everybody, right? If they lose, teams move up, right? That includes Alabama. Should they win against Auburn? Now, everything I'm about to say is should they win against Auburn. Because if they lose against Auburn, we're going to the Cheez-It Bowl or El Paso, or I have no idea. I don't even know if that's out yet. But the game that we're watching is Clemson and South Carolina. What a perfect time for those two teams to play. It could not work out any better for Alabama. Like, Alabama is being taken care of. Who would have thought that all on the same weekend, Ole Miss lost, BYU lost, A&M lost, Colorado lost, Clemson played nobody, right? Army lost. Like, so now you have South Carolina versus Clemson. Jarvis, what's the line on that game? You're inside the comment box. I see you, Jarvis. Who is favored in South Carolina and Clemson? I'm going to ask you inside the comment box right now. Who do you think wins between South Carolina and Clemson? Type SC for South Carolina and type C for Clemson. I think that's going to be a hell of a game, to be honest. I would imagine that somehow South Carolina wins that game. South Carolina is playing some very good football. South Carolina has won 5 games in a row. Now, the game is at Death Valley at Clemson. ESPN has Clemson as a 57% chance to win. A lot of people feeling South Carolina. I'm with you. The only thing that, it's at South Carolina. But this man, Lenore Sellers, He's been playing fantastic. He was tough. They were tough to beat for Alabama. And he's another quarterback similar to Milroe that gets a lot of production on the ground too, right? Against Missouri, for example, he threw for 353 yards, ran 14 times for 45 yards. Against Texas A&M, and they beat Texas A&M, he was 13 to 27, 244, 15 carries for 106 yards. They beat the brakes off Oklahoma 35 to 9. So South Carolina and Clemson. And why are we watching that game? Well, clearly, think about this, okay? What happens if South Carolina beats Clemson, right? And what happens if USC beats Notre Dame? I mean, that one doesn't even matter as much. Because I think what's going to happen is if it's Miami and SMU in the ACC title game, you have to go based off SMU and Alabama. Again, should they beat Auburn? Let's just be honest here. Let's just be 1,000,000% honest. Let's not even go off the fact that SMU might deserve the playoffs more than Alabama. If we're being honest here, and we know that college football works off money, who's the biggest draw in terms of revenue and eyeballs? Is it SMU or getting Alabama into the playoffs? It's Alabama. 1,000,000%. They're never going to say that revenue drives all of this, but of course it does. SMU, and look, SMU's playing Cal. Miami barely beat Cal. So here we are with the door open for Alabama. I don't know if they're going to be able to make the playoffs. I don't even know if they'll be able to beat Auburn. I really don't. And right now, according to the poll inside the comment box, we have 164 votes, and it's all coming down to exactly what everyone in the world knows about Alabama football. Jalen Milroe. Will it be feast or will it be famine? If it's feast, if Jalen Milroe plays and if he feasts on Auburn for Thanksgiving weekend, Alabama's stock goes up. Alabama goes into the playoffs. Alabama, gets a lot of momentum. They're on the road in the playoffs. Milroe's stock goes back up in the NFL draft. And this team plays better, I think. Well, I say they would play better consecutively, but they've played better when they have open weeks. So you got to handle Auburn, and I don't know if you can. And that's kind of the thing. All these fake graphics. This is all rat poison, but this is the real stuff right here on this little man-made graphic. This isn't high tech, I promise you. But it comes down to this. It comes down to, can Auburn stop Jalen Milroe? And can Alabama stop Auburn running the football? That's exactly the game plan. And yesterday on their show, we were talking about, should Kalen DeBoer go with another quarterback? That's not going to happen. It's too late in the season. Milroe is the guy at the quarterback position. He gives you the best chance to win. By the way, I think I said something yesterday on Milroe, and I got some updated information on this. So there was a drill where these quarterbacks were catching passes as receivers. I think it was Bryce, Jalen, and Milroe all participated in this drill. So it's not like Jalen Milroe was just working with the wide receivers by himself. Just wanted to put that out there. So it was never like he was working at the receiver position. It was the quarterbacks that were catching passes in this drill. Media members saw it and reported that he was working at receiver, but he was never working at receiver. It was just quarterbacks were catching passes. I have no idea why. Yesterday, on the uploaded footage from the University of Alabama, they were catching tennis balls. I don't know. The football drills are different. What's up, Ben Moret? I see you inside the comment box. And a lot of people have been very critical of him for being soft. I mean, yesterday, who would have thought? I mean, my most thumbed up comment, I didn't expect it to be, but I said Coach Saban ran it with the iron fist. DeBoer's running with the ice cream cone. I mean, yeah, it's funny to think about, but he's completely different characters. And I think that has been a lot to do with the culture. And I honestly feel that this is the other scary thing. Not to create scare tactics, but you lose this game to Auburn, just wait to see what happens in the transfer portal. Transfer portal opens up on December 9th. The transfer portal will be crazy. You've never seen anything like it before if they lose to Auburn. I think you're going to lose guys regardless over that time, but if you lose to Auburn, you are going to lose a ton of the transfer portal. Bama Red wants me to look up to 2001 Iron Bowl. All right, will do. These stats on this little graphic right here are scary, okay? The only graphic that because usually at the bottom I have time of possession. So I took out time of possession, and I was curious to see what the team's run defense was, like side to side. And of course, the run defense for Alabama is 62, and for Auburn it's 20. Oklahoma's defense, which pretty much did whatever they wanted to against Alabama, their defense was number 23 in the country. Auburn's is 24. The one thing that I've always known about Auburn, whether it was under Gus Malzahn or whether it's under, I can't even remember the other coach's name. What was it? Harsin? How long was he here for? Was he even here for a season? And then this other coach, Hugh Freeze. The one thing that I've always thought about when I think about Auburn football, I've always thought that their defense is physical. I've always thought that the defense was physical. Ever since I got here in 2017, it seems like the defense is good. It seems like the guys tackle really well in open space. It seems like they're hard hitters. During that same time, the quarterback play, besides Bo Nix going crazy, because I wasn't here during the Cam Newton and all that stuff. That was before I got here. But the quarterbacks that I've seen play, The running backs have been really tough, hard runners, but their defense has kind of been how I viewed them. Now, with Hugh Freeze, Jarvis says Hugh Sleaze, you have a guy that understands how to utilize the offense based on their skill set. And I think their skill set is running the football, right? Finding ways to be able to exploit the defense, which is terribly scary if you're an Alabama fan, considering that your run defense for Alabama is 62 and you just allowed 250 from Oklahoma by your quarterback and their running back. So, who Auburn should have hired is Kevin Steele. They should have just, and I get it, he was, a little bit older, kind of on the back end of his career. But that dude's a G. He was that guy was the complete, he might have been more strict than Coach Saban. Like a man of few words. Could you imagine him if he had to do a Monday media availability? He was great on the podium. No, Grayson, I'm saying the quarterbacks for Auburn during that time. All the quarterbacks here for Alabama have been impressive since I got here. Or at least polarizing to talk about, right? But I'm saying Auburn's quarterback since I got here, which one? Now, by the way, if you have Bo Nix on your fantasy football team, he's doing work. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'll be live tomorrow. Same time, same place. Thanksgiving. All right. Before we take some calls, and what I want the calls can focus on, I'm pretty much open. You know, you have a question for me, something on your mind. Let's talk Alabama, Auburn. But what I want to do, let's take 5 minutes, okay? And this is a question that I had before, and we'll hit on it tomorrow. We'll build our lineup out tomorrow, okay? But your Thanksgiving top 5 foods, okay? And let's see if we can go to our friendly. Okay, this is nbuzz.com. I have no idea what site this is. I'm just pulling up a random site. So post your top 5 favorite foods for Thanksgiving right now inside the comment box. If you don't have a top 5, what are like the first 3 things you're going for to put on your plate? What are the first things that you're putting on to put on your plate? And then we'll take some calls. So according to this website right here, this is edbuzz.com. Let's go to the full screen map. These are the top foods right here. I got greens, beans, tomatoes, potatoes. Have you guys seen that? All right. And I guess call Clay's Collision Center. Locally owned by Harold Ray since 1979. All right. Look. So the number one thing, obviously, turkey. Then stuffing and dressing. Pumpkin pie. Sweet potato casserole, mashed potatoes, ham, green bean casserole, cranberry jelly, fresh baked rolls, and Brussels sprouts. Those are the top ones according to edbuzz.com. Okay, so we're getting some good feedback inside the comment box. If you're watching this, post your top Thanksgiving foods inside the comment box. Having fun with it. See, so let's view some of these. By the way, Jalen Milroe playing well comes out at 42%. Why they beat Auburn. Let me read some of these out real quick. All right, Javion is saying dressing hands down. Rocket Town saying sweet potato pie. Mac Tooney saying no lettuce. Gordon saying mac and cheese. Jimmy saying turkey dressing with shrimp in it. What? Wait. Turkey dressing with shrimp in it? Okay. Sweet potato casserole for the win. That's John. Daniel Denny saying mac and cheese. We got a war chicken. All right. Let's see what else we got. Corn pudding? Oh my goodness. What is corn pudding? Are you serious? I have never heard of corn pudding. Dressing and cranberry jelly. Charlie ham, baby. Broccoli casserole. Yeah, okay. Shrimp dressing. We need to know more about this. I never heard about this in my life. And then what is, I'm going to write this down because this is so intriguing to me. Okay, so shrimp dressing. And then corn pudding? What the hell? Has anybody else heard of corn pudding? Am I the only, am I tripping here? Oyster dressing? Corn pudding might be off the chain. What? Gravy. Okay, butter potatoes all day long. All right, deviled eggs. Yeah, deviled eggs. And the thing about deviled eggs is they're ready to go. So there's no, you just go. Corn pudding is good. I never heard of this before. All right, let's see what else. The whiskey, lots of whiskey. Look, if you're of age and drink responsibly, but this peanut butter screwball whiskey, if you've ever had that. All right. When you guys call in, I would love for somebody to call in and tell me about corn pudding. All right. I need to know what is happening. All right. Of course, pecan pie. And do you say pecan or pecan? I say pecan. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. All right, let's take some calls. I'm going to open up the phone line. You want to call in, talk about Thanksgiving foods. You want to talk about Iron Bowl. You want to talk about the basketball team. I'm definitely open to it. So Kyle Anderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you so much for joining me on the program today. And let's get to the phone lines and hit me with those Thanksgiving foods too. I'll probably, when you call in, I'm gonna ask you about some Thanksgiving dishes. So be ready to tell me a little bit about your plate. All right, pecan, yeah, pecan. That's what I'm saying. And the other thing too is this jelly, or the cranberry sauce. Like, I'm not fancy. I'm opening it out of the can. Is that wrong? Does that mean I'm like? Does that mean I'm poor? Like, what does that mean? Because I'm opening it up from the can and like dumping it out. Oh, pumpkin pie, 1,000,000% with whipped cream. Pumpkin pie, yes. All right, pecan. All right, let's take a phone call. We got 256 coming in hot. Hey, good morning. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
It's Roll Tide Frogs from Huntsville.
What's up, man? How's it going? Roll Tide Probs. I appreciate you being here, calling in from Huntsville. All right, tell me what you're putting on that Thanksgiving plate.
Macaroni, mashed potatoes, a roll or cornbread, green bean casserole, and ham.
All right. Yeah, I love it, man. That sounds pretty spot on. You made like the top 10. All right, man. So your show, thanks for calling in. We're on with Roll Tide Probs, calling in, probably on school break, calling into the show. I appreciate it, man. Take it away. Go ahead.
The basketball team had a huge W last night. You watched the game?
Yes, I watched the game, and what was crazy, I thought about even coming back live, but I was already winding down. But I mean, a game like that, to be able to beat Houston in a marquee game on the road, I mean, I'm telling you, like this team, they're gunning for the title. That's a quality win last night, beating Houston 85-80 in overtime. What were your takeaways from that game? Because Mo Diabate, I think, is kind of the trending topic this morning, having a double-double, 16 boards, and what do you have, 10 points. But what stood out to you? What were your takeaways from that game?
I don't think they shot as well as they normally do, but they shot well enough to get them over the hump, and the defense played really well.
I think in a game like this, I know they're held under 100 points, but at one point they kind of weathered the storm because Houston in the back end of this game went on a 17-5 run, and basketball is a game of runs. So to be able to weather that type of storm, Alabama and Houston is like a low-key rivalry. Like that is a good game. They are well coached. That team will be back, I would imagine. Who knows? That could be like a Final Four or a Elite Eight type game down the road. It's good to see Mark Sears back, right? After a 0-point performance, he put 24 back on the board. What have your on with Roll Tide Props? What have your thoughts been about Cliff Amore so far being added to the roster? Because now Alabama truly has like a big inside the paint.
Yeah, he's been good because like teams don't really drive like they used to. Like last year, like against North Carolina in the Sweet 16, Armando Bacot just kind of bullied Grant Nelson, and it's nice to have like a big body in the paint that can't just like drive and dunk the whole time.
And I think where Alabama was missing some bigs was last year when you go into the tournament and like Clemson was a team that had two. They weren't necessarily like two centers, but they were two like power forwards. And that team was quality. So to be able to have Cliff Amore, because last year Pringle, and look, Nelson, he's not like a marquee defensive player. He's a perimeter type player, and that's how he's going to be in the NBA. Amori is a guy that has more versatility. I think he can play, both offense and defense and be effective. LeBaron Philon is that guy as just a freshman. Last night he struggled. He's 0 for 9 from the field. But this is my point is when you're talking about the basketball team is they have so much depth. So Philon goes 0 of 9. Sears is 4 of 8 from beyond the arc. And you have Aiden Holloway, who's able to come in 5 of 8 from the field and 2 of 4 from three-point land. So a lot of variety within their bench. Anything else before I move on, man?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How many more seasons do you think Kalen DeBoer should have of going maybe 10-2 one year, 8-3 one year, 11-1 one year, and maybe a playoff win, and in a top 5 recruiting class every now and then? How many more years of that do you give Kalen DeBoer before they move on?
I mean, maybe 3 solid seasons, and then kind of see where things are at. I mean, any talk of getting rid of Kalen DeBoer right now is way too premature. Now, I was thinking about this. I could easily write 10 ways that Kalen DeBoer has failed Alabama this year. But anytime you take on new challenges and anytime it's the first year of doing something, you're going to fail. And it's from those failures that you can create opportunities to create something that can put Alabama back on track. But yeah, I mean, I could easily think of 10 things right now where I'm not happy with. But again, this is the first year, which I still think he should be held to the same standard. This roster is a good enough roster to win as many games possible, including a national championship. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that because they just got their tails kicked by Oklahoma. However, the season's not over. So I want to say something and be like, it's completely done, and this team get hot and run the table. I mean, they have to beat Auburn, clearly. And look, when you're the coach of Alabama football, you're going to be judged on how you played your rivals, Tennessee, LSU, Auburn specifically. You're going to be judged off, recruiting. So how is this recruiting class going to be shaped up? And you're going to be criticized on your defense and your quarterback play. And right now, the defense wasn't up to standard, and right now the quarterback play isn't up to standard as well. But, yeah, good question, man. I appreciate you calling in, man. Call in again tomorrow, and I hope you guys are going to have a good Thanksgiving Eve.
Thank you. You too.
All right, man. Take it easy. That's Roll Tide Probs calling in from Huntsville. 256. We go right back to the phone lines. Hey, who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Bama frauds calling in from Huntsville.
Yo, so we got the young guns calling in this morning. We have a variety of callers, just like Alabama has a depth. So tell me. So I'm going to get this straight because there's a difference of the two callers. So you are Bama probs.
Yes, sir.
All right. And that's Roll Tide probs. All right. So we have two different callers. And are you from Huntsville as well?
Yes, sir.
See, and the thing about it that people have to understand is whether or not you know this or not, I'm about to tell you. The state of Alabama has very good content creators. And let me tell you this, okay? These young guys that are calling in that you're listening to right now, they speak facts. They have very good takes. And the guys who they are following are guys like Matt Be Great, guys like Josh Pate. Matt Be Great and Josh Pate, those are products of the state of Alabama, right? So when you look to guys who are the top of the content creator world, these young guys, these are the next guys in line. So I would imagine down the road that these guys have their channels and they're banging, they're talking college football, whatever. But anyway, so we got Roll Tide Probs in. Take it away, man. I appreciate you being here.
All right. So as an Alabama fan, who do you think is going to transfer at the end of the season?
See, another great question. I think that guys to transfer, if I had to answer right now, and it was for $1 million, and I had to get this right, I would say plenty. I would say Dylan Lonergan. I would say, you know what? I'll bring up let me bring up this board real quick, and we'll just go through the roster together, and I'll just tell you. Because I think that's an amazing question to think about. And I think, what's concerning about it is the fact that Coach Kalen DeBoer, and he answered it openly, that he's already having talks about roster management. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to showcase you and give you just the ideas of players that I think could transfer, okay? And I want some feedback inside the comment box. All right.
I got you.
Does everybody think that Dylan Lonergan would transfer? Yes or no?
Yes.
I
I think Dylan Lonergan can transfer to, like, sorry to interrupt you, but, like, Eli Holston, he was, like, the situation Lonergan is in right now is the one Holston, the Pittsburgh quarterback, was in last year with Alabama.
Yep.
I could see Dylan going to, like, somewhere like Eli did, I could see him going to, like, maybe like a Kentucky, or, well, no, they got Vanderbilt, but, like, maybe like a Mississippi State. Vanderbilt, if Diego Pagano don't come back, he can go somewhere like Vanderbilt. And
Love that.
he'll play Alabama next year. So
can you imagine
can
you imagine if Dylan Lonergan went to Vanderbilt? Let's say Diego Pavia's, transfer portal status doesn't go through because I know he's wavering for like another year. Lonergan to Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, they need a quarterback desperately, okay? All right, so I'm saying Lonergan, okay? Let's see. Okay, Jam Miller, he'll return. What about this? Justice Haynes. Do you think that Justice Haynes will transfer?
Well, he's a junior next year, so if Jam Miller comes back, he'll be a senior. So I don't want to lose Justice Haynes or Jam. Well, so you got to think, if Milroe comes back, then one of them is going to transfer more likely. But if Milroe doesn't come back, you got Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson isn't I hate to say this about Milroe, but he's a ball hog. He's the point guard who just scores all the points. Every now and then he'll get an assist. Ty Simpson is the Kalen DeBoer quarterback who score a point every now and then, but he's like a Trey Young, Tyrese Halliburton. He distributes the ball all around the court and all around the football field.
I think right now when you look at this board of the running backs, one of the guys who has certainly increased their value and a guy that could probably get a massive NIL deal is Richard Young. Now, you got to think about it from Richard Young's perspective too. Like, Jam's coming back. Justice, let's say he's coming back. 34 snaps is not enough for Richard Young. And I get it. You want to wait your turn. It's only one season. But teams need running backs. And, so Richard Young is kind of a guy I look at. Of course, they just added Jace Calazario. He'll be a guy along with A.K. Deere. So that's a lot of guys in the running back room, right? Okay, let's look at this board real quick, okay? The wide receivers, okay? Jeremy Bernard, you got to think he comes back. Ryan Williams, he comes back. Kobe Prentice gone. Kendrick Law gone. Eman Henderson gone. Caleb Odom gone. I think a lot of these guys will leave. And the reason in 601 and 704, I'll be right with you in 2 seconds. Let me finish this up. Go ahead, Roll Tide Props.
You mean Bama Pride?
Bama Pride, yeah, my bad. I'm going to get it right, I promise you.
Caleb Odom, if Alabama just did this one simple thing with Caleb Odom, Alabama would go a long way in the passing game. Put Caleb Odom at tight end. Nick Sheridan is a tight end coach before he was an offensive coordinator, and I guess he still is a tight end coach, basically, but Caleb Odom is a tight end coming out of high school, and he's a receiver. Alabama has way too – well, I mean, they always have talent in the receiver position, but eliminate one receiver from that position group, put Caleb Odom at the tight end. Alabama's tight end group is weak. Josh Cuevas, he ain't bad. Robbie Woods can block. TJ Dupree can block sometimes, but, put a guy like Caleb Odom who can block and actually – feel confident in going after passes,
I'm not, you know what? I'm not mad about that because I think like a guy like Caleb Odom, he has this room right now, like, look, Robbie Woods, he's an H-back, right? CJ Dupree has a bit of the drops right now. Josh Cuevas is great. But he's not dynamic. He's not. I think if you put Caleb Odom and you put some weight on him, and with his playmaking ability, now you have, think about this. So you have a dynamic tight end. You move him back, put some weight on him. You talk with him. You're like, look, based on your skill set and your size and how we can get you the football, most importantly, because this guy wants to get fed, then you put him at tight end. So you have Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, whoever rises up at that slot position, and then Caleb Odom and Josh Cuevas out on the field. That sounds entertaining to me. But Bama Pride, I got to run to my next caller, man. I appreciate you calling in, man.
All right, can I finish on one last thing, though?
Of course, man.
Kendrick Law, I think I can see Kendrick Law going like a Georgia. You know what I'm saying?
Oof.
Like, I know they're going to lose Carson Beck, but, like, Georgia, their receiver position, they don't have no McConkey or Bowers there. You know? I can see Kendrick Law going like a Georgia. And another thing about Caleb Odom, one last thing. Caleb Odom brings some athleticism to the tight end group.
Yes.
Alabama tight ends, we haven't seen athleticism in that tight end group. You know, CJ Dupree, Josh Cuevas, not really athletic guys. You know, and it's no knock on them. It's just, you know, the truth. But Miller Forrestall, Irv Smith, I say, is the last guy who's had some athleticism on him. We had Jahlil Billingsley, but I don't know what happened to Jahlil Billingsley.
No, all those guys, all those guys completely just, you know, they kind of fizzled out. So you're right. I had high hopes for Billingsley, or, you know, I can't remember his name. There was another tight end that rolled through, but Amari Knight, like I think you said, but nah, I think Odom could be that guy. Will he be? I have no idea. Good call, man. I appreciate it.
All right, see you. Roll Tide.
All right, Roll Tide. That was a Roll Tide Pride. Bama Pride. That's Bama Pride. So we have Roll Tide Probs and we have Bama Pride. Next up, we have 601. Hey, thanks for calling in. You're online with Kyle Henderson. Who am I online with and where are you calling in from?
How's it going, Kyle? Jay from Pensacola.
Jay, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling in, man. You're the first caller over 21 years old today, dude. So welcome. I love it, man. And the thing is, like, when the guys are calling in, they can talk ball. So I love it. And they bring up some great topics too. I can't deny it. I've been thinking about which guys are going to transfer too. Look, 1, 2 transfer portals coming for you. So
thanks.
Here we go. But what's up? We got Jay calling in, man. Come with it, man. Welcome to the show.
First of all, I want to say dressing, mac and cheese, and collard greens.
Dressing, collard greens.
I ain't want to be a part of people because me and my wife and my kids, we stopped celebrating holiday this year. So I ain't want to be a part of people. But when I did eat Thanksgiving food, dressing, mac and cheese, collard greens, and crescent rolls.
Crescent rolls.
And I'm gonna tell you, crescent rolls. I'm a crescent roll guy. I love crescent rolls, but as far as dessert go, Kyle, my grandma make the best red velvet cake on the planet. I will put $1 million on nobody red velvet cake ever. I got a few hypotheticals for you. So the first one is, if we have another lackluster season next year, does Canada Boy has the balls to get another DC and OC?
That's a good question. I think he'll have to, because fans right now are pretty hot on Coach Kalen DeBoer for a variety of things, but I think defenses specifically, like following that performance, in the 3 losses, right? Like something has to change. It doesn't seem like Kane Womack can adapt to stopping the run, right?
Right.
So I don't know. And then, on the offensive side, it seems like the offensive coordinators after, I guess, Sark left have just been lesser than. So I don't know. I mean, but that's always a sign of things that are starting to really spiral. But look, other programs around the country are doing that already. I mean, Oklahoma did it. Florida State had to do it. So, and that's when signs are bad. I don't think they're that bad, but I mean, right now, after a game like that, everybody is pointing the finger at the OC-DC head coach. But I would imagine that you have the same 2 OC and DC next year for the entire duration of the season.
My second thing, I have to blame it on, we haven't had a real developer since, offense-wise, since Sark. We haven't had nobody to develop anybody. Wide receivers and that. We can blame it on the players we want to. But we as people, we as them as coaches, and supposed to develop the players.
Mm.
Like, look at Water, Judy, Henry III. Like, those guys were developed. Like, those guys were elite. I would say Ryan Williams is next thing up as far as being that, but I feel like we don't have any developers. And my second hypothetical is about if we did not lose Ryan Grubb, if all the players who transferred did not transfer, I think we'll be undefeated this season.
That's something that we'll always kind of wonder about. We'll always wonder about Ryan Grubb, right? And like, and it always seemed really fishy. Remember when he came here and he would never put on like an Alabama shirt, and people were like, remember we were like, put on a hat and prove you're one of the Tide, and he wouldn't. We'll never know.
I stopped that man's Twitter page every day. Everybody else, I stopped his Twitter page every day. Cause everybody else changed to the Alabama logo, Alabama in their background on Twitter. Everybody but him. He's the only person that did not do that. I was like, man, this sounds a little fishy, man.
And then the thing is, I don't buy like people are like, well, he's not doing too well with the Seahawks. Yo, the NFL is completely different than college, right? I mean, they're two different things. Right. I mean, no offense really does that good in the NFL on a weekly basis. It's always up and down. I mean, play fantasy football. You'll find that out real quick. So I don't know. I mean, is anything else on your mind in terms of like the upcoming transfer portal or guys that you think are like a Sherlock to leave, or you got any thoughts on the Iron Bowl?
Cal, the Iron Bowl, if we I don't go back to AI. If we practice, like when they say they practice, what King Woman said. He said they did stuff you never seen before. I almost said something bad, but I'm like, dude. I'm like, what you mean? You seen that against Vanderbilt? What do you mean you haven't seen it before?
Yeah.
I mean they threw a shuffle pass. They did everything Vanderbilt did. I'm talking about the exact. See, they threw shuffle passes and everything against y'all. What you mean? You didn't see it, man? Let me calm down. But man, this as far as transfer portal goes, Kyle, I hope we don't lose K-Law or Kobe Prentice.
Yeah.
Cause we all thought coming in, these guys finna have a major season. We actually got an offensive coach, but I mean, it seemed as if he's too busy letting his homeboy call the plays instead of calling plays himself.
Yeah.
Like grow some balls, grow a set, call them plays yourself, cause your guys not getting done.
Yep.
And positive part about the transfer portal, I pray we can get people in the transfer portal like this. We're gonna need tackles. We're gonna need linemen. So can we be positive and get good productive people out the portal?
Yeah.
And that's all I got. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much. I appreciate you calling in. All right, Jay calling in from down in Florida. We got a 704 coming up next and a 470 next right here on Bama Football on YouTube. And I'm not going to buy this. Kendrick Law wants to, I get it. These guys want to be teammates and they want to do what's best for the team. I mean, these guys obviously have Jalen Milroe's back and support him. But let's not get it twisted. Like, Kendrick Law doesn't want to be here and be a blocker. You know, wide receivers. No wide receiver look, they'll stock block and they'll do their job for the team. One of the best actual blockers was Devontae Smith. But these guys don't want to come here, and you can't sell your other receivers in your recruiting class and be like, come over here and block for a running quarterback. No. They want the ball. They want different. They want to be featured in the offense. Kobe Prentice having 11 receptions, Kendrick Law having 10, Emmanuel Henderson having 4 is terrible. That's not it. These guys got to get fed. And you can't get mad at any of these guys when they hit the transfer portal on December 9th. Exactly, Jarvis. Wide receivers are divas. They want the ball. They don't want to block. 704. Let's do it. Hey, thanks for calling in. You're online with Kyle Henderson. Who am I online with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle. It's Kevin calling from Charlotte. How are you, man?
Kevin, what's up, man? I appreciate you joining the show. Go ahead, man.
Not much. Let's start off with Thanksgiving turkey, mac and cheese, and collard greens.
So these
apple pie.
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish out. Apple
I
pie.
was gonna say apple pie and vanilla ice cream.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Like in a nice like recliner, like you go to your grandpa's house or even at your own house, right?
Yeah.
Like the nice recliner with a little bit of apple pie and vanilla, right? Got the game on. It's kind of like,
Game on.
things have been cleaned up. Look, but
My Dolphins are playing. Got my Thanksgiving pants on. Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, but let me ask everybody. This is okay. I have to ask everybody about this. In these collard greens, okay? I have never, and I'm admitting this. I'm Kyle. This is a Thanksgiving confession. Like I've never really had proper collard greens, and I'm sure you guys are probably sad for me because from what I hear, like collard greens are held to this is in your starting five, right? Like collard greens are like a quintessential part of the lineup.
Yeah, they're the bomb. My parents are from New York, so I didn't grow up. I grew up in the South, born and raised here, but I never had collard greens until I was a teenager, and I had them at a friend's house. And I'm like, Mom, you've been, missing out on this. But to this day, my mom still doesn't eat collard greens, but I love them.
But but the point is, right, Kevin, it's more of like a Southeast. It's like a Southern thing, right?
It is.
Yeah, because growing up in New Mexico, we never had collard greens. It was more like, in even living in Alabama now, I still really haven't had collard greens. Wade's where I was like, come to the hood, we got you. Definitely, man, I'm on my way. Yeah. So I need to do it right. So anyways,
you're right about that. Yeah.
All right, Kevin from Charlotte.
Anyway,
welcome on in, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Listen, I was thinking about this Oklahoma game, and I feel like we're missing the big picture here, and that's complacency. If you look at the three losses we've had this year, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, maybe not complacency with Tennessee, but Vanderbilt definitely, and Oklahoma, taking your opponent for granted. Because that team, that's not the same team that hit the field playing LSU or Georgia, right? And I know there's a lot of blame on Milroe, and Milroe's running the plays that are called to him, but that's the point. He's not calling the plays. To my knowledge, he doesn't have the license, so to speak, to call the plays. I do think he's not very consistent in his play. That's something I think is too late to fix with one game left.
Yeah.
But when he's on, he's on. And when the coaches prepare for a game, this team is unbeatable. I mean, look at the way they completely went into LSU's house and just wiped the field with them.
Yeah.
Right. And then they lose to Oklahoma and they lose to Vanderbilt. I mean, Vanderbilt's still Vanderbilt. They've had some good wins this year, but they're not a powerhouse. We should not have lost that game. And we shouldn't have come down to the wire and only won by 2 to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're talking about the portal and these things, these losses, these poor plays, this inconsistency in play and complacency maybe have an effect on recruiting and player retention. Courtney Morgan's got his hands full.
Yeah.
And keeping these guys, and I agree with you, I think Law and Prentice are most likely gone. Odom is gone. And, I was commenting in the comment box all preseason about Odom and how I was excited to see him hit the field. Because I've seen guys think of Pitts and what he did at Florida. Yep. Big guy, 6'6", able to catch the ball and the way they utilized him in the offense. And I was hoping that they were going to do that with Odom. And maybe he's not that kind of player, and he doesn't have the same skill set. But still, you got a 6'5" receiver out there going against defensive backs that are 6'1", 6'2". I mean, that's a 3-inch height advantage. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
And they're not utilizing it.
Yeah. I love the point.
I wonder about coaching.
Yeah, I was going to mention, Kevin, I like the fact on the complacency. And maybe it comes down to that rat poison, that Coach Saban maybe was such a master at coaching against rat poison and preached to those guys and made sure that their heads were on straight. Whereas this group, and I don't know, I'm just this hypothetical, maybe they think that they already won those type of games, right? And maybe that they know back is against the wall against Auburn. Maybe we see a better performance from these guys because it's been up and down. We have no idea, like I said earlier in the show, if it's going to be feast or famine for Jalen Milroe. And I don't think, like, I think a player like Jalen Milroe is probably too dialed in and knows, like, what's at stake to be, like, buying into the rat poison. But I think a lot of that is just, poor play. And the crazy thing about Milroe and what is really concerning if you're looking at this collectively as an Alabama football fan is the fact that his play has gone down significantly against SEC competition. Vanderbilt, since that point, the stat, and I don't think any other site or ESPN has picked this up, but 3 touchdowns since October 5th against SEC play and 8 interceptions during that same time frame are like screaming like trouble. And Kalen DeBoer, it's too late for them to make changes. I really feel that this game, and clearly, whatever happens with the rest of Alabama's season, is tied to the success of Jalen Milroe, like on the field, but also Jalen Milroe, it's tied to his NFL draft stock. And if it continues to plummet, and if they just have this horrendous showing against Auburn, and who knows what happens to wherever bowl game they go, who's to say that he 100% goes to the NFL? Well, I mean,
I don't think he will.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he completely slides off the board, and the only saving grace for him is that he's such a great person. He'll interview tremendously well, and his combine should be off the charts. So who knows? I don't know. But yeah, good point. Go ahead, Kevin.
Not taking anything. Look, real quick. Not taking anything away from him. He's when he's on. Like I said, when he's on, he's on. I just saw a comment. Somebody saying you can't blame play calling when they called the same plays against LSU. Right. So that's execution, and that's what I said. When he's on, he's on. So. I don't know. And that's where you kind of wonder, is it complacency? Because if you're a star athlete, you're a star athlete all the time, right? You don't have good days every day. I know that. But you have that mentality, and that's what drives you every day when you get out on the field or the court or whatever, right? And I don't know. I don't know what to think. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I'm really frustrated at the performance. I was talking to a guy this morning about it who's not an Alabama fan, and he was like, I was rooting for you guys, and I, turned the game off after the first quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot to play for this coming weekend. I appreciate the call, man. Thanks for chiming in.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Sure
that
thing.
was
Take care.
Yep. That was Kevin out in Charlotte. 470. Let's do it. Hey, thanks for calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on line with? Where are you calling in from?
My name is Jonathan. I'm from Beaufort, Georgia.
All right, Jonathan from Beaufort. Man, Jonathan, that's an amazing talent-rich football area you're in.
Yes, sir. Gwinnett County produces some of the best football players in college football and the NFL.
Right. I mean, it must be amazing to be there and to, even if you're watching like a high school football game there, and maybe guys who aren't like 5 stars or 4 stars, I bet the talent out there in the high school football is just unbelievable, man. I'd love to see a game out there. That's amazing. So,
my class produced a lot of guys. Isaiah Bond, Travis Hunter, Justin Haynes went to the high school up the road.
Yeah,
a lot of guys around here.
Didn't Jake Pope went to Beaufort, right?
Yeah, he went to Beaufort too. Ashton Daniels went to Buford as well.
Mhm.
The safety over at Kansas State, he went to Buford. We played against a lot of guys when I was there.
Dang. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I can't. Georgia high school football talent is unbelievable. I mean, just all the guys coming out is crazy. All right, well, welcome on in, Jonathan, calling in from Buford. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I'm going to be quick with this one. My question would be this, right? In the mind of Jalen Milroe, do you think that he should forego his senior season and come back to Alabama, or should he declare for the draft? Because for the best interest of him, if I'm Jalen Milroe, right, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this season didn't go the way I wanted it to, right? Maybe I should take advantage of this next season, right, and try to build up my stats, build back up my draft stock for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Alabama fans, I've seen a lot, are ready to turn the page on Milroe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm asking you, like, what do you think? Like, do you think he should come back, or do you think he should declare for the draft?
Oh, I think he should 100% go. A couple reasons why. Teams in the NFL, this isn't the best year for quarterbacks overall. I think on the latest Mel Kiper big board, it's Sanders, it's Cam Ward, and I think it's Jalen Milroe. So those are the quarterback options in terms of 1 through 3. If you look to the NFL, teams desperately need quarterbacks this year. So I think you got to strike. And I think no matter what happens after the season, I think, people are going to want Jalen Milroe. I really do. If you look collectively at his career here, it hasn't been, the best, but it hasn't been the absolute worst. Probably, and I think too, if Milroe, this is weird. If Milroe comes back, they win games, but they lose a tremendous amount of players to the transfer portal. I think if he comes back, you'll lose all these playmakers 100%. Not like Ryan Williams or Jerry Bernard or Jam Miller, but all these other skill guys. Yeah, you'll lose a ton of guys that just you want the ball and they're not going to get the ball because the ball isn't spread around under Milroe because of his own athleticism and capabilities. Like he may run for 250 yards against Auburn and win the game, and he might. Guess what? He might throw for 200 yards too. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to be mad if he has 4 touchdowns on Saturday and 200 yards rushing and 225 passing? No. You're just like that's his game. And nobody else can do what Jalen Milroe does in college football because of his ability to run and beat you up over the top when he does hit. He'll hit on a haymaker. We know this. He threw a touchdown against Oklahoma, a deep pass that was an illegal touching call.
Yeah.
So, but I think 100% he goes to the end. I think there's like no chance, and I think he would have NIL opportunity if he did come back, but I think he's going.
All right, that makes sense.
What else you got, Jonathan?
All right, then thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Call again next time, man. See ya.
Thank you. See you.
All right, Jonathan calling in from Buford. We got a 512. Hey, how's it going? You're on line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on line with and where are you calling in from?
My name is Kitty, and I'm calling out of Austin, Texas.
All right, Kitty, what's going on? I appreciate you calling in from Austin. Welcome on, Kitty. Come with it.
Yeah, I got a question. I was wondering why this drop-off, or it seems like to me, in the down the field passing, the big plays, why is that falling off? I've listened to a myriad of shows and all you guys in Bama, and I haven't heard a really good answer. What you got?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think my answer would be this. I think that teams have figured out Alabama's offense in this regard.
Yeah.
Number one, double up Ryan Williams. He is going to be the guy that Milroe goes to for a deep ball, 100%. We could bring up the stats on Pro Football Focus. Right. I don't even think you have to. Did you know he's been targeted 73 times this year? 73 times, right? He has. Think about this. I did not. He has 42 catches, but he's been targeted 73 times. we already know who he's going to against Auburn. Jalen Milroe is throwing to Ryan Williams. I'll put the baseline at 8 times, right? I think the other reason that the deep ball has gone down is the fact that they're playing better competition in the SEC. And I think that the right side of the offensive line is absolutely terrible. And I think just Jalen Milroe just hasn't been on as well. So I think those 3 facets. Number 1, double up Ryan Williams or be expecting it. Number 2, downfield accuracy isn't what it used to be for Milroe. And number 3, and I don't know which one is worse, but the right side, Elijah Pritchett, his grade is like, I think it's like in the 50s, and you can't sub him out because the guy behind him is worse. And welcome for me. Are those guys terrible human beings? Nobody's saying that about them. They're great. Their on the field production is terrible. So I think that would be my answer to your question. Hey, undefeated inside the comment box. Is there anybody else that has an idea of why Alabama's downfield passing has gone downhill? Do you agree with what I'm saying, or is there something else? But that would be my assessment. It would be those 3 facts.
Yeah, and I've wondered why they just don't move the pocket more. And for him to be so mobile, it just seems like he gets stuck back there. And I kind of disagree with one of the callers about the play calling and all of that. Jalen's got a lot of decisions he can make. Which lanes is he going to run up? If you remember that first series at Oklahoma, man, he had just 3-4 feet or yards in front of him, and then he hung a right and went lateral. That was just crazy, and he could have made the first down. I'm not blaming everything on him because I agree with you about the offensive line. I mean, if you go back and really, really look at the line, they after I don't know, it seemed like it happened immediately, actually, but as the game went on, it was just folding, and those lanes were not opening up. And Jalen and the running backs didn't have anywhere to go because Venables was just so excellent at having, I don't know, it seemed like 6 guys right there to just close them down.
The other thing that I noticed too on the line with Kitty calling in from Austin is I felt that this defense that Brent Venables put together, it seemed like all of their guys were as fast as Jalen Milroe. And that's what it's gonna be like in the NFL. Oklahoma's offense was fast. They were good. They tackled well. They were in the backfield. They put pressure. Like that was a good defense. And Brent Venables had those guys in the right position to stop Jalen Milroe. And I think even it was Nick Sheridan on Monday that said that he'd like to see Jalen Milroe run more north to south instead of dancing around. Because I will say this, Jalen Milroe doesn't have the best side-to-side speed. He's not the best in terms of an agility. So, for example, what I mean by this, who has great agility? Bryce Young. Bryce Young can move around. He's like a ninja back there. You can't even touch him. Now, where Jalen Milroe excels is north and south. Once he gets north, you can't tackle him. You can't catch him because he's faster than everybody on the field. But in terms of him dancing around, he doesn't have that. And I think when he starts to dance around in the pocket, he lacks that. Therefore, you can get to him.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And the last thing, and then I'll get off so somebody else can get a turn, is that, Saban was a master of sports psychology, and he got into it a really, really long time ago at Michigan State and had that psychologist working with him forever. I forgot his name. And it's really interesting, kind of that trajectory of his interest in psychology and sports psychology. And he just used it in ways that other people don't even think about. And I think this staff that we have now, they're kind of young. They're from a different generation. And they're not doing that in the way that Saban did. And it's showing up in playing down to the talent, with Vandy, and then somehow Oklahoma getting overlooked, which it's beyond my belief that they could overlook that when Brent Venables has had Alabama's number for a decade. I knew it was going to maybe go like this. This did not surprise me. He's a defensive guru, so props to him. and everything like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to call in. I thank you for the show and really appreciate it for that you took my call.
Absolutely. All right, take it easy. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Talk soon. All right.
You
That
too.
was Kitty out in Austin. Great point right there on sports psychology. So if you're not familiar with this, what Kitty was talking about is the fact that Coach Saban, this is a true story, he had a sports psychologist that he started working with many years ago. Him and the sports psychologist would talk weekly and figure out the best message for the team. He would then go into his meetings and deliver that message. Sometimes it was to fire the guys up. Sometimes it was to bring them back down a little bit. But there was always some sports psychology to how he spoke to the team. And you see that in his continued disposition on ESPN Game Day or whenever he's speaking. Saban is a master at being a chameleon to who's the different people he's speaking to, right? When he's doing his Birmingham quarterback club, it's like he has no idea about football, right? When you hear him on game day, the guy is like the sharpest man in the entire world. When you hear him giving speeches, I mean, my goodness, like he is so inspirational and such a leader who I think a lot of us who might be a little bit older, but I think it still resonates to younger people as well, that you want to follow that type of leadership because what he says makes sense, right? His stories. Anyways, great call. Back to the phone lines, 813, we got Case out in Tampa. Case, what's up, man? I appreciate you joining in. Come with it.
What's going on, Kyle? First, man, I got to say this. I know I call in from Florida. I live here. I love Florida, but I was born in Jackson, Mississippi. It's going to hurt some people's feelings, but I think Mississippi is the home of soul food. It's the birthplace of soul food. The fact that you have never ate real collard greens is absurd. It's absurd to me, Kyle. You live in Alabama.
I know.
You need to find someone. You need to find a local grandma to cook you some damn collard greens, man.
I know. You know what? Okay.
Crazy.
So real quick. So I live in like this suburb neighborhood, and it was a couple years ago. I was invited to this party. This was back when I was married. And we go over to this party, and it was the very first time. And look, I've lived in different places. I've done different things in my life. I never had proper shrimp and grits. Never. Okay. Go over to this house, and I had proper shrimp and grits. I was like, I can't believe that I've lived, 35, 36 years at the time and never had shrimp and grits. It was like outstanding. So yeah, I've, collard greens on the list, have it down. We'll knock it out. I'll report back at some point in time. But yeah, I think I've been missing out. It hurts to know that, but I'm gonna try to get it in the rotation, eventually.
I thought that was crazy, but hey, some of the calls have been absolutely great. A lot of people have brought in really, really good points. That last caller, she really knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
She knows Saban well too.
Yep.
Bringing it back to Michigan State, and Nick Saban was a defensive-minded coach. We all know that, but the most offensive-minded thing that I've always seen him do, and if you go back in so many games, and he said this at one point, I don't remember originally when he said it, but it goes back to that psychology. And he brought up a point. I think it was in a post-game it was either a post-game interview or something like that. He said that it goes back into the psychology of the players when you're in a big game early on, and he would intentionally want his his playmakers, his ball handlers, to touch the ball at one point.
Mm-hmm.
If he knows he's got a good wide receiver, he wants them targeted early in the game. He wants them to get a catch. Even if it's a simple screen, little 3-yard catch, let them get the ball. And almost every single, I swear to God, you could go to every the first play offensively for Alabama for the last 7 years, it always starts with a run. Always hand it off to the running back. He would say that early. You just want them to just get that feeling, and I feel like we got away from that. When we played Georgia at the beginning of the year, everybody touched the ball. The distribution was crazy. Yeah. I mean, it was Jan Miller would run it, Justice Haynes would run it, he would catch it. Ryan Williams obviously had his catches. Jeremy Bernard, the tight ends, and there were a couple Milrow runs. Everybody was I understand that we're later in the year now, so of course people understand the game, the game plan of where our strong suits are.
Yeah.
It's like you said, Ryan Williams has 73 targets.
Yep.
So the thing is, if you're going into a game like Oklahoma or going against Auburn, they know you're going to target Ryan Williams on the deep ball. So we should be able, if you're going to double Ryan Williams on a deep ball, you should be able to get the ball to somebody else when they're prioritizing that.
Mm.
And I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm really dumb or maybe our OC is really dumb, but it seems simple. It seems like a simple solution. It's like a mix of terrible play calling and bad decision making for Milroe on some plays. It's not all on him. And as far as the transfers go, I hate it. I understand it. I don't hate any of the players that transfer. I know we have the saying, if they're not wearing crimson, I get that.
Yeah.
And I love that mentality, but at the same time, if you're an 18, 19-year-old kid, and like Caleb Odom, for example, you're trying to – he could be a starting wide receiver at any country, at any college in the country, 100%. Or a tight end for that. The young blood in the first call today was talking about putting him at the tight end position. So, but I'm excited, but also feeling bad for the season to come to an end. I already told you about the playoffs. You got to stop talking about it. The playoffs. If they sneak in, do I agree that a 9-3 Alabama team is better than a runner-up ACC championship contender? Yeah, I do. I do agree. But it goes back into most deserving versus best. If Alabama is one of the best teams in the nation, why aren't we winning our games?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody wants to talk about, Notre Dame doesn't belong in there. This team doesn't belong there. Well, you can't sit there and cheer for your own team if we can't win if we can't win most of our games on our schedule that we should win. We should have beat Vanderbilt and we didn't. We should have beat Oklahoma and we didn't. And who knows about all the Iron Bowl is crazy. I'm glad we're not playing at Jordan Hare, because then I'd be betting against us.
100%. Me too.
And the last thing I'll point on is you made a good point, Kyle, when you talked about Auburn. You said you don't know what it is, but they're always known for their defense and their hard hitting.
Yeah.
And when it comes to at least the last 5 to 6 years, Auburn has not been a playoff team.
Yep.
But they've always had great talent, and they've had some good coaches coming back in. And here's the thing. When it gets to the end of the season, they know they're not a playoff team, so all they have left is beating Alabama. So they always play us to the highest degree. And I know it's a rivalry, so you're always going to play it hard, but there's something it's just like, if they know there's a way they can ruin Alabama's chance at making to the playoffs, they'll do it. And that's why they play so hard every year. So good luck to us this weekend. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and eat some collard greens, man. Come on.
No, yeah, I'm gonna try to find it. I'll post it on the local Facebook page. I'll be like, yo, does anybody have some extra collard greens they can hit me up with? I appreciate you calling in, Case. Thanks so much, man. Take it easy.
No worries.
All right.
Take care.
Case calling in from Tampa, but said he's from Mississippi. So he might have to change him up, even though he's got the 813, to Case from Mississippi. All right, 205, let's do it. Yeah, I appreciate you being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, this is Evans. I'm from Alabaster, man.
Hey, what's up? Hey, you say Evan?
Yeah.
Evan, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling in from Alabaster.
Yeah, man, I've been listening a long time. My roommate and I, we're in the comment section a lot. And,
That's what's up.
We love your show, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the support.
Success in the space.
Yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate it, man. And I hope, have you had collard greens?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. My mom makes some mean collard greens.
Yeah, so I've been clearly missing out. This is upsetting. I'm not lying. I'm upset. So we gotta fix this. So,
well, whoever's been holding out on you, they need to stop tomorrow and get you right, man.
All right, man. Cool. All right. So Evan, Alabaster, man, come with it, man.
Yeah. So I want to kind of piggyback off what the last caller said. Man, the questionable play calling this past week, it specifically on offense, I've got to wonder, are we limited or are we unable to break tendency?
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a play in the first half, 3rd and 10, out of the timeout, and we come out and we run a QB draw on 3rd and 10 with a stacked box, 7, 8 men in the box, and I'm not okay with that in any world. That's playing to punt and playing not to score. And we weren't in a bad spot on the field. We were in our own half, but some of these play calling issues this year that have continued to rear their ugly head again and again. I'm wondering if it's not the OC or just limited quarterback play. I love Jalen as much as the next guy, but I've got to wonder, is his ability to read a defense less than what we've had in the past, or is it just less than what we're used to?
Yeah, I know that's the whole chicken or the egg, and it's something that I don't know if I think the thing is for whatever reason we have to be honest with our assessment of him and say that he has regressed. We say that by what we've seen on the field and what the stats tell us, right? So we believe what we see and the stats back up what we see. The hard thing is anytime you're critical of somebody that's on the team that you cover or they're a good person, it's hard to do that, and it becomes polarizing because you start to wonder about the guys behind them. But as we've already talked about, clearly if Ty Simpson was ready or any of these other guys back in line, there would have been a quarterback change at that point in time. These guys are clearly not ready to be in that position yet. The other thing that makes it so polarizing is that we're sitting here constantly critical of Milroe, and rightfully so because of his poor play. But guess what? On Saturday, he is the guy that gives you the best opportunity to beat Auburn, and he will make plays.
Without a doubt.
And he will.
Without a doubt.
And he will make plays, and there
touchdowns than just about anyone.
100%.
In the country.
And there's not anybody here inside the comment box that is going to be mad when Jalen Milroe rips out an 80-yard touchdown run or throws an 80-yard touchdown pass in the first drive or second drive against Auburn. That's just the fact. So here we are, and here we stand, and he gives you the best option to, guess what, win this game, the next game, and the games after that, and he's the guy, and we 100%, will be behind him while he's here at Alabama, and I think most of the fans would be like, we hope the best for you when you go to the NFL.
Without a doubt.
And that's it.
Without a doubt. One more question for you. You may have more insight on this than I do. Where was Kendrick Law this past weekend? I did not see him.
I believe that he did travel with the team. And a good way to find this out, if you're ever wondering, if you ever want to look at this by yourself, go to the University of Alabama, their official website, click on stats, click on game notes and stats. You have to poke around, scroll all the way down to the participation, and they will show you if the player played at all during that game. The guys who scoop the news, like the team reporters, your Tony Sukalis, your Charlie Potters, those type of guys, they would have said if he didn't travel with the team, I just don't think he played. Period. Which is clearly like this has been one of those things this year. Like that was not on anybody's bingo card. We hyped him up as much as we've hyped up anybody coming back, and Kendrick Law having 10 receptions this year, or maybe less than 20 touches, is something that just that's a fact that still blows my mind right now.
Yep. We brought him in as an athlete, and I almost wonder if we wouldn't have been better served moving him to safety when he got on campus initially, just with the results this year. We were all expecting so much after last year, and I don't know. But before I get out of here, Kyle, I want to shout out the basketball team. Their great performance last night. We needed that win. We needed that win for the team, but we needed that win for the university. And momentum is fickle, but momentum is important, and we needed something positive in Iron Bowl week heading into this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And look, for those of you that, are like, oh, I refuse to watch basketball, or like, this is a basketball school. Yeah, I think it is a basketball school, along with a school that still has the biggest brand in college football, right? So, look, support the basketball team for sure. Like, you got a coach who anyone else in the country would want. The roster is thick. It is stacked. That team plays great up-tempo basketball. It's not boring basketball. See, I think people have PTSD of like a half-court offense. That's not it. Like, this team, it will keep you entertained the entire game. You won't even have a time. Like, you can't even like enjoy your wings while you're eating because you're just screaming and yelling and cheering. So, enjoy the basketball team. But yeah, I appreciate it, Evan. Thanks for calling in, man.
Yep, thank you. And shout out to Hattie Mae. That's my roommate.
All right, Hattie Mae. Yeah, that's what's up. Hattie Mae calling in from Birmingham, Alabaster area, and Evan and Hattie Mae, the dream team. All right, so put up a poll. Please participate in it. We have Bama Pride from Huntsville. It looks like he's today's MVP caller. So congratulations. We had some, calls are on point today. Not going to lie. Tomorrow, same place, same time, right here, Bama Football on YouTube. As news happens, I got you covered right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Remember, tonight, Alabama basketball in action, taking on Rutgers. Kind of a reunion of Cliff Amori, the big center. Used to be for Rutgers. Now he's playing Alabama inside the paint. The game's at 9 p.m. So, look, I know you don't have work tomorrow. Stay up and watch your basketball team. As news happens, I got you covered right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you very much for being a part of the show today. Look for more content to be dropping throughout the day, whether it's short form videos or long videos or cut-ups or whatever. Thank you very much for the super chats. Oh, I think I have one more super chat I had to get to real quick. See if it's up here. Try to find it before I dip out. I appreciate you guys hanging with me today. Oh, Daniel X asks, $5 super chat. I appreciate you, man. Question: we need two teams to lose to get into the playoffs. Clemson, Notre Dame, or Miami. So, yeah, the teams that Alabama really needs to lose is Clemson. You need South Carolina to beat Clemson. And then I think after that, it's going to be between SMU or Miami versus Alabama, whichever team finishes second in the ACC. The other team that I think could shift around stuff is Notre Dame losing to USC. I'm not going to say that's out of the realm of possibility. I think it's low likelihood, but that would take Notre Dame out and allow for another team in. So, and maybe the ACC runner-up and maybe Bama. So who knows? I don't know. But yeah, that's what we're watching. I appreciate you guys being here. Hit the thumbs up on these videos as you see them roll out. Follow us on Facebook. Look up, I know this is going to sound confusing, Alabama Football on Facebook. Alabama Football on YouTube on Facebook. That's a channel. I appreciate you guys being here, and I'll catch up with you guys as news happens right here on Bama Football on YouTube. See you guys.